The first regional of the 2026 season, as well as the first Regulation H regional, went off with a massive bang, and oh my gosh, we gotta talk about these teams. Welcome everybody to another Pokemon VGC video. It's me, Ketsu, and today we're going to be doing a regional recap of the Frankfurt Regionals that happened this past weekend. There were quite a few teams that I was actually quite excited to see again. There was quite a few, archetypes, and quite a few cores that I was really happy and very surprised to see. So we're going to go through a bunch, especially the top 4 today, and just see what exactly the meta is shaping up to be while going into this Regulation H season, starting off the 2026 season as well. If you guys enjoy this type of content and want to see more of it, let me know by leaving a like down below and maybe hitting that subscribe button as well. Helps me out a ton. But we're going to start things off looking at the top 4 teams, and we're going to start off with one of the top 4 done by Davide Career with the side. I guess it's not exactly a side spam team, but it's more like an Indeedee core team, which is quite unique. I don't exactly know how to call this team, but it's more so an Indeedee psychic terrain core team, I guess. So we're going to start off with the Indeedee with the Rocky Helmet, going into TERA Dragon as well. Psychic, Follow Me, Helping Hand, Protect. A very interesting TERA type on Indeedee. You don't normally see TERA Dragon. You'd normally see something like TERA Fairy or something like TERA Grass. TERA Dragon's a new one. TERA Dragon's a new one, and you don't really see it that often. We have the Hydreigon with the safety goggles going into TERA Ghost, Draco Meteor, Snarl, Taunt, and Protect. Hydreigon being this absolute fast beast of a Pokemon is just really, really useful here. Having really 2 insane moves in terms of Snarl and Draco Meteor. Just being able to lower down special attackers because you don't really have that in a sense. And being able to just do mad damage off of Draco Meteor is just really, really good here. And Taunt is always useful as well. Shuts down other Trick Rooms. It shuts down all these other things as well. I also want to mention that this is the first time I've actually seen an Indeedee set without Trick Room. That I've just noticed that. I completely skimmed past that. I was so used to saying that Indeedee has these moves that I completely went past that it has Trick Room. That is very interesting. That's a very, very interesting tech there. Wow. The first time ever I've not seen Indeedee having Trick Room. That is really, really smart. We have the Espathra with the Life Orb going into Terra Psychic, Expanding Force, Lumina Crash, Dazzling Gleam, and Protect. So the whole point of this here is that Espathra would be up in the field. Normally you'd see a Protect on the first turn to get a +1 speed boost, and then it would just keep going with these Lumina Crashes to lower down special defense if they're really, really tanky on that side, or just hitting things with a Terra Psychic, Life Orb boosted Expanding Force, especially with the Helping Hand of Indeedee as well, and Dazzling Gleam just to get those dark types that are really, really troublesome. Things like, again, King Gambit, Terra Dark Sneasler, all those other crazy ones that are just really, really, really waiting to get rid of, psychic types, mainly dark type Pokemon. So it's a nice counteraction there. We have the Hisuian Arcanine with the Mirror Herb, with Intimidate, going into Terra Water, Flare Blitz, Rock Slide, Close Combat, and Protect. No extreme speed of this Hisuian Arcanine as well. Close Combat is just a really, really good move that can just do really amazing damage here. Rock Slide and Flare Blitz are just really, really good stab moves as well. The Mirror Herb is also very interesting here because a lot of Sneaslers as well would love to get a boost off things like Rillaboom Grassy Seed and Indeedee Psychic Seed. A lot of mons, like to get the Defiant as, things like King Gambit or things like Annihilate would like to get the +1 boost. So anything that would make things trouble for your opponent, like things like Intimidate, you've got this Mirror Hub to kind of be like, well, if you're going to get a boost, I also want to get a boost. There's no way I'm trying to nerf you and you get stronger. I also want to be stronger. That's the whole point. So it's just a really good tech there for Hisuian Arcanine. It's a really, really good one to give. We have the Assault Vest King Gambit with the Defiant ability going into Terra Flying, Kotal Cleave, Sucker Punch, Low Kick, and Terra Blast. Normally we would see things like a Terra Dark on King Gambit with the Black Glasses and Swords Dance, but this is a very interesting set here because, again, much like things like URSALUNA that has been coming up a lot more in the format using Assault Vest, we want to take more advantage of the special attack because special attackers kind of have like a monopoly now since like Intimidate's not really that much of a factor. Defiant Pokemon are coming up in usage now, so it's a lot more easier to kind of get special attackers out there in the open, and Assault Vest King Gambit is just, in my opinion, perfect. Me personally, when I used to run King Gambit, I would run Terra Fairy and have Terra Blast there as well to counteract those said fighting types, but Terra Flying is also a good one as well, and it's also really good because it steers clear of ground typings as well, which are also super effective against King Gambit, so you get a double whammy there. And lastly is the Psychic Seed Sneasler going into Terra Dark, Diaclaw, Close Combat, Throat Chop, and Protect. Very standard Sneasler set there. If it's not Fake Out or Coaching, it's Throat Chop and Protect. That's pretty much the standard set for Sneasler. Can't really complain on that one. Next up is the other top 4 competitor, Shohei Kimura, my personal favorite to win the whole thing. Got very close, almost there, but not just quite. But still, this team was really, really fun to use, and it features a Mouthhold Annihilate team. I love this duo. This was the first duo I wanted to try out in Regulation H. I absolutely love this duo. This duo is absolutely amazing. Annihilate with that Citrus Berry, with the Defiant ability, being able to get a +2 on its attack stat for every time it gets a stat drop, which is really, really good against things like Incineroar. Going into Terrify as well to stay clear of Fairy types, Rage Fist, Drain Punch, Bulk Up, and Protect. This is the foundation set set here that you would see off Annihilate. You'd see other sets here and there like Safety Goggles and Final Gambit and Taunt and things like that, but in terms of Annihilate as a whole, this is pretty much the foundation of what you would see an Annihilate set to be. We have the Mouse Hold with the Focus Sash and the Frame Guard ability going into Terra Ghost, Super Fang, Follow Me, Beat Up, and Protect as well. This is mainly to stop Mouse Hold going for, or getting hit by something like a Fake Out. That's why it's going Terra Ghost, because that way it would steer clear a Fake Out, go for a Beat Up on Annihilate, and then this thing would have its Rage Fist going from a base 50 all the way up to a base 250 by the first turn. It's absolutely, it's crazy insane. It's absolutely, it's nuts. Like, Annihilate racking so much damage out of the gate is absolutely nuts here. We have the Dragonite with the loaded dice, with the multi-scale going into Terra Fairy, Scale Shot, Tailwind, Haze, and Protect. This is pretty much, again, the standard set you would see for Dragonite. Sometimes you might not see Tailwind, sometimes you might see Extreme Speed, but for the most point, this is pretty much the main standard set that you would see for a Dragonite. We have the Assault Vest, Blood Moon, Ursaluna with the Terra Water, Blood Moon, Earth Power, Hyper Voice, and Vacuum Wave. Like I was saying earlier, Blood Moon, Ursaluna is becoming more of this tankier Pokemon, kind of swapping out the Life Orb for an Assault Vest, because now that this format isn't exactly as heavy hitting as it was before when Restricteds were allowed, Ursaluna kind of gets that more freedom to kind of swap in the damage for being more of this juggernaut, more of this tank that can sit there, take the blows, take the damage, and just kind of be like, well, I don't need to do this Life Orb boosted Terra normal Blood Moon or this Life Orb boosted Terra normal Hyper Voice. I don't need this Life Orb Helping Hand Earth Power. I can just kind of like sit here, take the shots, and just chip you away slowly with Hyper Voice. Get the priority on Vacuum Wave. Get this Blood Moon if I really need to like break your walls down. It's a really good way to making sure that Ursaluna really gets to his bulk scene, and it's really, really good. It shows very, very nicely. We have the Life Orb Golden Go with the Terra Water, Make It Rain, Shadow Ball, Nasty Plot, Protect. Again, if you don't see a Choice Specs or a Choice Scarf set on this Golden Go, Life Orb, Nasty Plot is pretty much the main set that you're going to see. And finally is the Rillaboom with the Miracle Seed going into Terra Fire, Wood Hammer, Grassy Glide, High Horsepower, and Fake Out. Now again, because this regulation isn't so centered around getting terrain control, because things like Miraidon is now gone, now you've just got Rillaboom and Indeedee. Indeedee's kind of like easy to manage because again, this format is a lot weaker. This format is a lot more easier to get rid of these weaker mons. Like, it's not that much of a stress. So Rillaboom kind of gets that access to swapping U-turn in a sense for having a more aggressive move. Things like High Horsepower especially can even work against things like Incineroar, which is really, really useful. So it's a quite nice way to kind of like get the coverage over, which I think is great. Next up is the runner-up done by Victor Medina, and it is of course the Archaludon Rain team. We knew this thing was coming back. We knew. As soon as they said Regulation H was coming back, everybody pointed their fingers at Archaludon, knowing this thing was coming back, and it almost won the first one back. And that would have been a 2 for 2. The first Regulation H tournament that we had last year was Archaludon Rain winning, and it was so close for it being the same thing again this year. But we're just shy of it. We're just shy of it, but still, Archaludon Rain is still proving that it is an absolute beast of a team. So we have the Life Orb Golden Go going into Terra Flying, Make It Rain, Shadow Ball, Nasty Plot, Protect. Again, like we said, same standard Golden Go set here, but this time it's Terra Flying, which is actually quite useful here. We have the Basculegion with the Choice Band going into Terra Water, Wave Crash, Last Respect, Split Turn, and Aqua Jet. Basculegion in this format is an absolute just beast. It's an absolute beast, and it's so freakishly scary. You put this thing in the rain, give it a Choice Band and Terra Water with a Wave Crash. Things like even Incineroar with an Intimidate buff doesn't even stop it. Like, this thing can still one-shot things like incredibly hard. Like, you could even be resistant to this thing, and this thing will do crazy amounts of damage. Like, this thing hits really hard. Like, it is unfathomable how hard this thing can hit you. Like, it's absolutely insane. We have the Citrus Berry Amoonguss going into Terra Psychic, Pollen Puff, Spore, Rage Powder, and Protect. Now we're seeing more of a Terra Psychic on Amoonguss because, again, we're not seeing much of a format where, you know, Amoonguss needs these things like Terra Water a lot. We're not seeing a lot of these formats where, you know, these other Terra types that would normally be seen on Amoonguss is quite necessary. And, again, the main thing that kind of threatens Amoonguss as of right now is things like Size Spam, which is a very dominant archetype here. We've talked about archetypes in the past. If you guys want to see our archetype video, I should hopefully put a link in the description below. But Amoonguss is just an absolute insane tank here. It's been that in every regulation it's been allowed for. I can't really complain. This thing is absolutely goated. And the Citrus Berry as well makes it even more of an annoying wall to be like, Rage Powder, over here, I'm gonna do this. Or like, if you're gonna get hit with a Spore, it's just like, you can't take me out fast enough. I'll get hit, take the berry, take another hit, and like, go to sleep. It's absolutely insane. Amoonguss is just absolutely goated, honestly, and it will stay goated pretty much for like the rest of this franchise, to be honest with you. We have safety goggles Incineroar with the Intimidate going into Terra Water, Flare Blitz, Knockoff, Parting Shot, and Fake Out. Normally you would see Terra Ghost and Incineroar within this format because to stay clear of other Incineroar and other Rillaboom that also have access to Fake Out. But this time we have the Terra Water, which is quite interesting here. So to have Terra Water inside of a rain team is quite interesting, despite the fact that, you know, you are now weak to Grass. But then again, Incineroar does have Flare Blitz as well, which isn't actually that bad. So you've got that kind of countermeasure there, which is quite nice, honestly. That's honestly quite nice. I don't really have any complaints. I think that's still good. As long as it's a defensive type on Incineroar, I think that's great. We, of course, have the Assault Vest Archaludon with the Terra Fighting, Flash Cannon, Draco Meteor, Electro Shot, and Body Press with that Stamina ability, and the Terra Fighting. Body Press is going to do an immaculate amount of damage. Normally, we see things like Terra Bug or Terra Fairy, things that can kind of like steer clear of those weaknesses like ground and fighting especially. But now that we see, this is more of an offensive Archaludon because we're seeing that Terra Fighting boost on the Body Press, which is really, really unique. It's a very, very unique thing here because a lot of people are already scared of Body Press, and what better way to make them even more terrified than having a Terra Fighting Body Press, especially when it takes a lot of damage and it's on like a +2, +3, even +4 sometimes on its defense thanks to that stamina ability. It can hit crazy numbers with that Terra Fighting as well. And finally is the Focus Sash Pelipper going to Terra Ghost, Weather Ball, Hurricane, Tailwind, and Protect. Terra Ghost again to stay clear of Fake Out, so you can get that Tailwind running up basically on turn 1. Normally, if you don't see a Focus Sash, you would normally see something like I believe a Covert Cloak. That way, again, same thing. You're not really that scared of Fake Out, so you can just straight away go with a Tailwind and just get this thing running immediately out of the gate. So this team is really, really good. A very, very aggressive take on this already staple of Regulation Age. So good job on Victor Medina. This team was really, really good. And then, of course, the winning team this past weekend, done by Emmanuel Briganti, which is a really cool, almost essentially this, I kind of want to say a Sneasler balance team. It's kind of strange. It's got a really nice way of like getting essentially everything that you need. It's got techs, it's got damage, it's got setups, it's got essentially everything that you need. So we're going to start things off here with the Incineroar, with the Safety Goggles, Terra Ghost, Flare Blitz, Knockoff, Fake Out, Parting Shot, standard set for Incineroar, can't really complain, Life Orb, Golden Go, Terra Water, Make It Rain, Shadow Ball, Master Plot, Protect. We've already seen this twice now. Again, like I said earlier, standard set for Golden Go. We have the Grassy Seed Sneasler going into Terra Flying, Close Combat, Acrobatics, Sword Stance, and Protect. Now, this is one that I actually wanted to keep an eye on as well, because Sneasler is a very interesting one here. Yes, it does get acrobatics, but you don't see acrobatics on it a lot. You especially don't see Sword Stance. Sword Stance was the interesting one here, because not only do you get the double damage boost off the acrobatics, but things like it already hits really, really hard, by the way. So the fact that you can sit there and add a Sword Stance on top of that is really, really good. So if you manage to lock off a Sword Stance and get that on Burden Boost, you have a +2 Mon that is the fastest in the format outside of things like a potential Tailwind or even a Choice Scarf. And this thing hits really, really, really hard. It is insane how hard this thing can hit you, especially with the acrobatics and close combat. It is insane how hard this thing can hit you. We have the Alolan Ninetales with the Focus Sash going into Terra Ghost, Blizzard, Icy Wind, Disable, and Protect. Disable is more so there to stop those choice Pokemon, so things like we saw earlier with the Choice Band Basculegion, or things like Choice Best Golden Go. All of these Pokemon here that want to stick to kind of a one move turn here, where it's just like, right, I'm just going to keep clicking this move over and over and over again, and I'm just going to make sure that you don't, like, get out of this trap. Alolan Ninetales can sit there, take one shot with the Focus Sash and be like, right, disable, just lock it off. So basically you're essentially forced to switch out, which is always just a big punishment. Even on things like that use one move only, things like, you know, support Pokemon like Amoonguss can't really do things like Spore. They're either stuck doing Rage Powders or Pollen Paths or Sludge Bombs. You can't really do much if you don't have the whole toolkit. Things like Dragonite, that only has the one attacking move in terms of Scale Shot. You're stuck using Tailwinds or Hazes or Protects. You're basically stuck for a while. And by that point, a lot of the Ninetales can kind of sweep the game with you both. It's absolutely insane. So it's a very nice tech there with Disable. Something that I want to look at in my Alolan Ninetales as well. Something that Alolan Ninetales is the one that I've wanted to work on for a while. And this is definitely giving me inspiration for it. Because Alolan Ninetales, I can't lie to you, I'm going to say this right now, undercover GOAT of this regulation. I'm going to say this right now, it is an undercover GOAT in this reg, and I will not be surprised if I see a lot of Ninetales do so much better as this year goes by. We see the Assault Vest Rillaboom with the Terrifier, Woodhammer, Grassy Glide, High Horsepower, and Fake Out. Standard Rillaboom stuff, again, can't really complain. And finally is this one actually got me. This one got me by surprise. Leftovers, Terra Electric, Blood Moon, URSALUNA with Blood Moon, Earth Power, Yawn, and Protect. So this is interesting for a few things. First off, you don't really see URSALUNA with the leftovers. Normally you would see, nowadays you see Assault Vest. Before we'd see something like a Life Orb. It's really interesting to see that it's leftovers. So it's going more into its bulk. Like we said before, this regulation is a lot more forgiving in terms of bulky Pokemon. So you have that kind of freedom to allow your bulk to shine. And then the fact that you've got Yawn and covering that over something like a Hyper Voice is insane. It is really, really insane. But one thing I love here is the TERA Electric. So the way that I can kind of process this in my own mind is that TERA Electric being only weak to ground, you have two Pokemon here that can actually counteract this. You've got the Alolan Ninetales, which is an Ice type, which carries Ice type moves, which is super effective against ground. Or you have the Rillaboom that also has Grass type moves, which is again weak to ground. So you've got kind of like these transactions here, which is kind of like, well, if I Terra my Blood Moon, I have a fast option in the Alolan Ninetales, which can outspeed fast ground types, especially Garchomp, or I've got the Rillaboom that can essentially nerf ground types with Grassy Surge, and then I can just hit these things with Blood Hammer. So things like URSALUNA, things like Blood Moon URSALUNA, you've got all these other factors here that Rillaboom can just be like, well, I'm going to shut you down because I want higher damage out of the gate and I want more of it. So I'm just going to keep going for it, especially in things like Trick Room where I can't outspeed you, especially with potentially with my URSALUNA, so I'm just going to go Grassy Guard and I'm just going to keep chipping away at you over and over again. It makes things so much easier and you get the weaknesses so easily with this Blood Moon. And this is really, really interesting. This is such an interesting tech on URSALUNA, and it really did show because this team won the whole thing last weekend. But of course, we cannot talk about this whole tournament without talking about the top Pokemon of this past weekend. So, of course, Sneasler rocking the format here at the top spot with 38% on day 1, and it was almost at the top spot again on day 2, but that got overshadowed by Goldengo. Goldengo, in my opinion, is a very, very good counter to Sneasler because most of the time you would need things, because Sneasler's only coverage against Goldengo would be a Throat Chop, which, yeah, sometimes it can work, but most times, if it's especially if it's a bulky Goldengo or if the Goldengo Terras, there's not really much you can do. There's not a lot you can do, and Goldengo can actually sweep Sneasler if it's not running a Focus Sash as well. I think even like a nasty plot with Make It Rain can still take out a Sneasler, even if it takes a Psychic Seed special defense boost. It's just like, it's just a good counter. It's just a really solid counter here. We also have the Incineroar, which is also, of course, everywhere. Rillaboom as well, being everywhere as well. These two are just absolutely everywhere. Like, 2/3 of the big three. What can you expect? They were all over the place in regulations before. They're quite easily here now. Like, it really just makes a ton of sense why they would be here. And, of course, we've got, like, the other staples as well, like Dragonite, like Annihilate, both forms of URSALUNA. We've got our Caledon here. Pelipper obviously coming up in the top 14, which just makes a ton of sense because you can't have Arcaladon. Most times you can't have Arcaladon without Pelipper, but you especially can't have Pelipper without Arcaladon, so it just makes a lot of sense there. You've got King Gambit, which is a very nice, meta. Like, it's essentially like a really good Dark type. It's like the best Dark type we have offensively outside of Incineroar, which is only more support-wise. So it's quite nice, and of course Volcarona as well, which is of course a really good Pokemon here. Like, Volcarona is just absolutely insane. Especially if you can get it set up with Quiver Dances, this thing is nuts. But yeah, I can't really complain, dude. Like, this pretty much seems the most thought out for the most part. It's essentially, Sneasler rocking the format, Goldengo being the good counter, Incineroar, Rillaboom being staples of just the top 10, and then it's kind of just like all the archetypes or all the cores essentially that you see in pretty much almost every team, Dragonite, Annihilate, etc, etc. But that is essentially it for today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy this. I had so much fun watching this past weekend. These teams were absolutely great. I was struggling for ages trying to figure out a Regulation H team because I was using old data and stuff like that, but now we finally have a new regulation where new data is here and new stuff is here, and we can finally get to going through this as well. And I would honestly not, but I would be surprised if there was not a newcomer up there that someone would bring and just be like, right, this new Pokemon can do so much good to us in this specific team, and they just end up stealing the show. I would not be surprised if we would see a new one coming out of the gate. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that we're going to see a newcomer up here? Do you think it's going to be a Pokemon that we've not really seen that much of before? Do you think the meta is pretty much going to stay the same as it was last year? Let me know in the comments below. But of course, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you all later. Okay, bye.